Yeah! You know what time it is. Welcome to a new episode of Mark My Words with me, your host, Mark Gunels, live from the Good News Sports Station in sunny Los Angeles, California. Thank you guys for listening to me right now live on the Good News Radio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. Hey, and if you're also watching me right now live on YouTube, shout out to you as well. We have another special edition of Mark My Words. And yes, I do mean special edition because this only happens one time a year at the beginning of the year. And this Sunday is Championship Sunday. We got the AFC Championship between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. And then you have the San Francisco 49ers taking on arch rival Los Angeles Rams. So I'm excited for both of these games. We're going to find out very soon who will be in the Super Bowl, which is right here in Inglewood, California, right down the street from where I live. I drove into the studio today and I see all of these Super Bowl flag banners and things like that. And they got the tents outside of SoFi for the media. I mean, they're getting ready. And we're still 3 weeks away. But they're getting ready, man. It's going to be very festive. But it's going to be like a festival here in LA, man. I cannot wait. But before I get into both of these matchups this weekend, I want to start off by talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, the Lakers. They are back under 500. Anthony Davis made his return this week, however. And, you know, the first game against Brooklyn obviously looked pretty rusty, but he did have 4 blocks. But in this second game, I'm recording this on Friday, so last night in Philadelphia, he looked great. There was no LeBron, so more shots for him, more opportunity for him to be aggressive, even though I still believe he needs to keep that same mindset when LeBron returns, because I think LeBron wants that. I mean, LeBron is in year, 19? And he's 37 years old. There's no way he should be leading the league in scoring right now. But obviously, AD has been out, so that obviously played a big part in why LeBron has been scoring at a much higher rate this year. But he looked fantastic last night, especially against the opponent, against Embiid. I mean, he was 14 of 21 from the field, 31 points, grab boards, and once again, he had 4 blocks once again. So in his 2 games back, he's had 4 blocks in each game. And that's vital because not only is he a rim protector, he's a guy that can switch on to guards. You know, you can switch everything when you got AD at the 5. And that's what Laker fans and I have been preaching for a couple years now. Play AD exclusively at the 5 because you still remain big, but you're also versatile as well because he's not a stiff. He can move. He's not Dwight Howard. He's not DeAndre Jordan. That guy can switch on guards and hold his own. So I think that was a welcome sign despite the Lakers getting blown out to Philadelphia, obviously with no LeBron. So, you know, I'm just curious to see how 360 looks when they're all together. Obviously, I'm talking about AD, LeBron, and Russell Westbrook. Because look, Laker fans, I know you want to trade Westbrook. I understand it. But it's just not realistic unless you want to take on John Wall, which I don't think there's much difference, but I will say this. I do think John Wall has a higher basketball IQ. I think he has a better sense of who he is as a basketball player. So I do think you would get marginally better with John Wall. Now, I would like to trade a lot more if you could attach Christian Wood with John Wall. Now, if you do that, you may need a third team involved because the Lakers simply do not have the assets to make that attractive if you're Houston. But if you can get Christian Wood and John Wall and unload Westbrook, now you're in business. Now you're talking some serious contenders talk in the Western Conference, as far as I'm concerned. But encouraging to see AD look like AD. He even said in the post game, he wanted to look like his old self. He wanted to be aggressive. And my thing is, we just have to see that with LeBron in the lineup. LeBron cannot be carrying this team all year and into the playoffs because at some point he's going to burn out. He's 37 years old. He has a lot of wear and tear on that body. I mean, he's played in 8 straight finals. I mean, that is a lot. So he's playing deep into the season with not much of an off season. Some years playing in the Olympics. So AD has to step up and be that guy. Thank you guys for listening to me right now live on the Good News Radio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. And if you're watching me live on YouTube right now, thank you for tuning in to another special episode of Mark My Words. So I already teased it at the top. Championship Sunday, baby. Yeah. First of all, though, before I get into these games, I just have 2 words to say. 13 seconds. I'm sorry, Bills Mafia. I do have some listeners in Buffalo, so I do apologize. I know it still stings. Trust me, as a Chiefs fan for 25 years or so, I know what pain feels like. Trust me. But man, 13 seconds. That's all it took for Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce to get to field goal range and force overtime. And once it went to overtime, you just knew that somehow, some way, the Chiefs were going to win the coin toss. And when they did, game over. There was no doubt in my mind that Mahomes was going to lead that offense down the field for a game-winning touchdown. And I hear people crying about the overtime rules. Stop it. The same thing happened in 2018 to the Chiefs when they played the New England Patriots and Tom Brady in the AFC Championship game. They didn't get the ball in overtime. I didn't complain. Get a stop. Hold them to a field goal. Just don't let them get a touchdown. Especially Buffalo, you have the number 1 rated defense. You can't hold them to a field goal? I have no sympathy for you. I really, really don't. And I know people are saying it's a shame. It's such a shame that Josh Allen was not able to get the ball and answer Patrick Mahomes. Okay, let's say he got the ball and they score a touchdown. Now we're tied again. When does the game end? Are we going to play for 6 hours? The human body is not meant to play an NFL game that long. So I have still yet to hear somebody come up with a legitimate solution that makes sense. You can't play this game for 5-6 hours. They'll be playing all night. Nobody was stopping nobody. So I'm sorry. I don't have much sympathy there for Buffalo. And then also, you had them backed up with 13 seconds to go. The game should have been over. And honestly, they actually didn't even need the 13 seconds to get in field goal range. because there were still 4 seconds on the clock when Harrison Butker ran out to kick the game time field goal to force overtime. So they actually only needed 9 seconds to get in field goal range. My gosh. What was the defensive coordinator thinking? Just giving Tyreek Hill a head start, a running head start. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. But here we are. We're on to Cincinnati. To quote the great Bill Belichick, Chiefs Bengals this Sunday afternoon in Arrowhead Stadium. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the first quarterback in NFL history to host 4 straight conference championship games before the age of 27. I mean, there's just so many stats out there that Mahomes has already broken. He's only 26 years old. 26. It's just remarkable. I mean, he's only 1 year older than his counterpart this Sunday. And people look at him as the new kid on the block, Joe Burrow. And Mahomes is only 1 year older than him. We take it for granted how fast and how great Mahomes has been already at such a young age. We have simply never seen it before, and that is a fact. It's not debatable. We've never seen somebody this successful this soon in NFL history at the quarterback position. Never. It's not arguable. It's just remarkable. So, these two teams met just a few weeks ago, January 2nd, this year, 2022, in Cincinnati, where the Bengals held on to a 34-31 victory in crazy fashion. Came down to the last second. They kicked basically a chip shot field goal at the 1 yard line to win the game as time expired. And, you know, the Bengals are feeling themselves, as they should. Before the year, nobody had this team even finishing third in their division. I mean, they were projected to finish last in the AFC North behind the Ravens, the Browns, and the Steelers. And now they're in the AFC Championship game. I mean, my gosh, if you put money on the Bengals making it this far in the summer, you're rich right now, because the odds must have been crazy for that, because nobody in their right mind, not even the biggest Bengals fan in the summer, thought this was possible. But here they are, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Boyd, Joe Mixon. All of those guys are rolling into Arrowhead this Sunday. You know, a few months ago, Joe Burrow said, you know, these NFL stadiums, they're not really louder than the stadiums that I faced in the SEC. And he said this back in like October, and he had no idea that he would be going into Arrowhead for a right to go to the Super Bowl. So now, obviously, that quote has been resurfaced on social media. Chiefs fans are taking it and running with it. So I expect Arrowhead to be at its absolute loudest that it's ever been this Sunday, considering that quote. I'm sure the Chiefs team is going to put that on the Jumbotron before the game, that quote. It is going to be freaking rocking. So I see people referring back to that game on January 2nd and saying, hey, they already beat them once. Why can't they beat them again? Well, I'm going to tell you why they will not beat the Chiefs again. First of all, Jamar Chase had over, 250 receiving yards that game. Spags was being very arrogant and leaving Ward on the island one-on-one. And he got burnt after time after time after time again. And to be fair, Ward actually defended him perfectly on most of those balls. It's just that Jamar Chase is just a different breed. So you would be foolish to believe that Spags will come with that same game plan once again. It's not going to happen. Jamar Chase is not going to get near 200 yards again. Will he get over 100? Sure. I absolutely believe that. He may even get 150, but 250 is not going to happen again. That was a historical game. Shout out to him. He's a generational talent, but the Chiefs will defend him differently. But they still have other weapons. T. Higgins, Boyd, Mixon. So somebody else will have a pretty big game. I totally believe that. But we have to look back at that game and be honest. There was 5 different times where the Bengals were stopped on third down. 5 different times where they were going to punt the ball to Patrick Mahomes. But the drive got kept alive due to penalties. 5 different times. I went back and watched the game. 3 of them were objectively bad calls. I mean, Tony Romo was on the call that game. He's going to be on the call again this Sunday. And we know that he keeps it straight down the middle. He has no bias. Even he had to mention on a few of those calls and say, wow, that wasn't a good call. I don't know about that one. Then on their game-winning drive, 3rd and 27. And this goes back to Spags. 3rd and 27. It's a tie game with 3 minutes left. There's no way they should get this. They should punt it back to Mahomes with under 3 minutes to go. Most likely the Chiefs go down and win the football game. 3rd and 27. Spags decides to do a cover 0. And he brings the house. Leaves Ward on the island with Jamar Chase. So Joe Burrow doesn't have to do no reading and reacting. It's just simply, hey, I got Chase one-on-one. Okay, I'm just going to throw it up. Threw it up to him. They got the first down on 3rd and 27. Then at the goal line, at the 1, Chiefs had him stop multiple times. 4th and goal, they went for it. Another flag. Now, that was a good call. That was a good call. But my point is, if you're banking on the Chiefs having all these penalties once again, some were good calls, but some were atrocious. And before the game, by the way, like literally an hour before the game, one of the refs that was supposed to ref the game got subbed out for a sub ref. So, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. There was a sub ref in the game. Can't make it up. And he made some of these calls. So it took a historical performance from Jamar Chase. It took several drives being kept alive on 3rd downs. And it took Spags to be just completely arrogant and to not get out of man coverage on Jamar Chase for the Bengals to win the game by 3 points as time expired. It took all of that. Oh, and the Chiefs only scored 3 points in the second half. It took all of that. Now, if that stuff happens again, sure, the Bengals will win this game. But I highly doubt all that stuff is going to happen again. Jamar Chase is not going to get over 200 yards. They're not going to have 5 drives kept alive on 3rd down. I would hope that Spags doesn't play man-to-man on Jamar Chase for majority of the game. I mean, you would be idiotic to come with that same game plan in less than a month. You just played him 3 weeks ago. So, and the Chiefs will not only score 3 points in the second half. Look, the Chiefs are just a different team this time of year. They just are. Mahomes, especially at home, he has been the best quarterback in a minimum of 5 starts at home in the playoffs. He has been statistically the best quarterback of all time at home in the playoffs. Look it up. It's a fact. He's different in the playoffs. This team's mindset is different in the playoffs. And look, I'm sure the Bengals want to win the Super Bowl. Of course they do. but they haven't been here. There's a sense of, wow, we made it this far. Nobody thought we would make it this far. The Chiefs were expected to be here. The Chiefs were expected to win the Super Bowl, and they still are. Before the year, they were the Super Bowl favorite, and they were embarrassed last year in the Super Bowl. That is still in the back of their minds. They want to get back to that game, and they're at home. They just lost to this Bengals team. The Bengals winning that game may have been the worst thing that happened to them because the Chiefs are ultra motivated. I mean, forget the fact they lost to them. Like I said, they want to win the Super Bowl. That's their main goal. But now you throw on top of the fact the Bengals just beat you less than a month ago. So now you add that on top of the motivation of getting back to the Super Bowl and winning it. I'm sorry. The run ends here in Kansas City. It was a fun ride. The Bengals are going to be around for the next decade as long as they can keep Joe Burrow upright. He was sacked 9 times last week. And the meeting against the Chiefs, he was sacked 4 times. And that was on the road. So you would imagine at home when they can't hear Joe Burrow, the snap counts aren't really precise, that the Chiefs sack him more than 4 times. I'm at least expecting 5 or 6 sacks in this game. Multiple false starts. That crowd's going to be crazy. And the only way the Bengals have a chance to me to win this game, and look, the Chiefs are favored by 7 points. They're 7-point favorites in the AFC Championship game. So that tells you right there that the public in Vegas believes that the Chiefs are by far the better football team. I mean, in the other game, the spread is only 3 points, 3.5. So the Chiefs are clearly the better football team. They're at home. And look, last week against Buffalo, that was essentially the AFC Championship game. No disrespect to the Bengals, but we saw Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go back and forth all game. Neither one made a mistake. Josh Allen barely got sacked, barely got touched. That would not be the case this Sunday behind that Bengals offensive line. Joe Burrow is going to get sacked. He's going to get touched. And that means more possessions for the Chiefs. And I just don't think the Bengals will be able to overcome that. They're going to have to play clean football, mistake-free football. They're going to have to extend drives. And that's just not who they are. They're either a quick strike offense or a 3-and-out. They're like a home run hitter that strikes out a lot. He's either going to hit a home run or he's going to strike out. That's the Bengals offense for me. They're either going to have a quick strike and score a touchdown or they're going to have a 3-and-out. And that's just not a recipe for success, I believe, in this game, because you want to keep Mahomes off the field as much as possible. But with that old line, I just don't see that being realistic. So I think the Chiefs run away with this game. I don't think it's going to be close at all. I could see them maybe starting off a little slow, maybe a little bit, and getting down 7-0. That wouldn't shock me at all. But once they get rolling, I don't think this game will be competitive come the fourth quarter. I have the Chiefs running away with this game 45-24. Look, the Chiefs have scored 42 points in each of their last 2 games, and both of those teams have better defenses than Cincinnati. The Steelers obviously have one of the best front fours in the league, and then Buffalo, statistically, was the number 1 rated defense, and it didn't matter. Chiefs still scored 42 points. So I don't expect much different this Sunday against Cincinnati. You had a good season. You're way ahead of schedule, and you're definitely going to be a team to be reckoned with in the AFC for the foreseeable future. Just fix your offensive line, but the Chiefs will be heading back to the Super Bowl for the 3rd straight year. Thank you guys for listening to me right now live on the Good News Radio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. And if you're watching me live right now on YouTube, shout out to you as well. So let's switch sides to the NFC. You got the Rams and the Niners. So obviously the Niners have been owning the Rams as of late. They swept them this year. And not just that, they have won the last 6 meetings against the Rams. Sean McVay was asked earlier this week, is Kyle Shanahan in your head? That's how bad it's getting. So, and he obviously said no. And, he still praised their team and how well coached they are and how tough they are to beat. And I'm not that surprised the Niners are here. I'm really not. I mean, I even said during the regular season, if Jimmy G can just get out the way and not lose games, this is one of the best teams in the NFL. I mean, let's not forget, they were just in the Super Bowl 2 years ago with pretty much the same roster. And guys like Deebo Samuel taking a next step. I mean, I think he's the most dynamic player in football. So, and then obviously Nick Bosa on the other side is a force to be reckoned with. So they're so well coached. They're so disciplined. Their defense is ramping up at the right time. And their run game, I mean, they're so hard to stop. Even though it's coming, they're so hard to stop because they have those big boys up front, obviously led by Trent Williams. George Kittle's the best blocking tight end in the league. So it's a lot to be reckoned with. Obviously, Deebo Samuel, probably the most physical runner in the league. He's a wide receiver. So they're a lot to handle, man. However, it just feels like the Rams are due to finally cast their demons, finally get over the hump, get that monkey off their back, and finally beat this 49ers football team. Now, look, it's going to be our neutral site game once again because we know Niner fans will show up in droves this Sunday at SoFi Stadium. But, I mean, last game, the Rams had a 17-point lead. Let's not forget about that. They had a 17-point lead and just had a complete meltdown. I mean, they almost melt down against the Bucs last week. They had a 24-point lead and nearly lost that game. It came down to a game-winning field goal. Thank you to Matthew Stafford for finding Cooper Kupp down the field. But these two teams know each other very well. They know what each other love to do. And the fact that that game was so recent, where the Rams blew a 17-point lead against the Niners, which helped the Niners even get into the playoffs in the first place, I think they'll get out to another lead in this game, and they will not let off. I'm not saying they're going to be up by 17, but I think they'll be up by 7 to 10 points and kind of hold the Niners at bay. I got the Rams winning this game 24 to 17. I think Jimmy G makes a crucial mistake. I mean, against the Packers, there was 3 should have been picks, and none of them were picked. In his last game against the Rams, he did throw a pick in the end zone to Jalen Ramsey. I thought the Rams were going to win that game at that point. But I think this time the Rams will get that interception and they won't look back. I think they can force the Niners into third and long situations. I think they're going to load the box. They're going to force Jimmy G to make plays with his arm. They're going to be hell-bent on stopping that running game. And it's still going to be hard. It's still going to be hard because the Niners have really big boys up there and they can block really well, even when the run is coming. But I just believe Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Floyd, and those boys will do enough to force the Niners into obvious passing situations, and I think that'll be the difference. Now, the other side, I am concerned about the Rams' offensive line against that front, but when it comes down to it, I just trust Matthew Stafford more than Jimmy G when in obvious passing situations because I don't believe the Rams will be able to run on the Niners at all. I mean, I don't think they'll have much success there, even though Cam Akers has been looking really good. But I don't think it'll be a sustained thing where they're just running all over the Niners. I don't see that happening. But I do believe the connection of Cooper Kupp and then even OBJ as of late will be the difference in this game. I got the Rams 24-17, and the Rams get back to the Super Bowl because they haven't been in, 3 or 4 years. And then we get that great matchup of that the great rematch of that classic Monday Night Football game, Rams, Chiefs, here in LA. And let's be honest, if you don't have a dog in the fight, this is the matchup you want to see. This is the sexiest Super Bowl between the Rams and Chiefs. I mean, just stars galore on each side. Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Travis Kelce, OBJ, Aaron Donald, Chris Jones, Von Miller, Tyrann Mathieu, Sean McVay versus Andy Reid. So the NFL definitely wants this, I believe, especially LA hosting a Super Bowl. That'll be back-to-back years where the home team played in their own stadium in the Super Bowl, and it's never happened before until last year. And now we may see it in back-to-back years. And the team that would have to face them would be the Chiefs in back-to-back years. So I just think the stars are aligning for this matchup to happen. I can't wait, though. I cannot wait. And if you've been following me, I know I wavered and I changed because I probably took in account the Robert Woods thing too much. But up until the Robert Woods injury before the year, I had Rams Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That was my preseason Super Bowl pick. But I did change to Packers Chiefs once I found out Robert Woods was injured. And I know they still had OBJ, but I didn't think the chemistry between him and Stafford would click so soon. So, but I still have a ticket on that matchup. I did put a ticket in Vegas that if the Rams and Chiefs meet in the Super Bowl, it's going to pay me off pretty handsomely. So I'm definitely hoping that ticket cashes because I would be a happy man. Let's just say rent will be paid for off that ticket alone. So that's it for today, guys. I cannot wait. Can Sunday get here already? Like, we have to wait 2 more sleeps. Oh, man, I cannot wait. Thank you guys for listening to another special episode of Mark My Words. Make sure you subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mark A. Gunels for all my content. I'll be back next week, and hopefully we're talking Chiefs-Rams Super Bowl. Take care. I'm out.